Hello and welcome. It's taken me about 4 hours to gather all of the EDs because not all of them are on YouTube, and why, and to gather images for all of them, but I finally have it all together, and I think we're ready to start. So we're going to be going over all of the ending themes for the main Gundam series. We won't be doing any of the movie ending themes or anything like that, and we'll be covering a couple of the OVAs that have ending themes, but not all of them do. So let's get started with First Gundam. This first ED is kind of simple, right? In a lot of ways, there's not a lot of movement going on. It's just shots of Amuro as we sing about "Don't turn around, Amuro." But I'd be lying if I told you that this hasn't had like a major impact on my life, because there will be times that I'm just doing anything else and I'll just be thinking, "Don't turn around, Amuro." So it's not visually as impressive as a lot of the ones we're going to get to, and it doesn't have a lot of the sticking power when it comes to the visuals and how they're used. But I do think that we still need to put it in. And it can drop, but I feel like it at least needs to go in A, because, man, it just means a lot to me. It just means a lot to me. I've just realized I haven't sorted these at all. We're going to do that real quick. Zeta's first ED it's okay. I like the song a lot, but it's really just Fa running next to the credits. And I think, as much as I like the song, I'm gonna have to give it a C tier for that. I just can't give it higher than that. I love Zeta. Zeta's in my top 5. I just don't love Zeta's EDs all that much. I included the North American ending this time, but it's just the same. It's a nice like instrumental theme. It's good. I think it's kind of worse than the previous one. It's okay. I just wanted to have it this time because I didn't have it for the OP list. Double Zeta's first ending is weird because it starts a trend that comes up so much in Gundam after this, of the EDs being Gundam characters slowly floating up the screen while the song plays. It's a fine opening. I think I'm going to put it around the same as First Gundam's ED, because it's good, it's fun, but there's not really much going on. It's just kind of like hey, here's all our people, everybody's happy, haha. And it may wind up getting moved down because I do think the mood of First Gundam's ED is a little bit stronger, but we'll see. Double Zeta's second ED, having like the evolution of the Gundams, is really cool. Gundam Mark II, Zeta, Double Zeta. But that's all this ED is. It's the Gundams moving up instead as you pan past them. And I actually kind of like it less than the other ones here. I actually kind of like it less than the Zeta Gundam EDs. So we're going to put it right here. I know this can be travesty to some people because they love that moving forward. But, that's how I feel. We'll see how we feel at the end of it. I want to clarify as we move into this one that I love "Winners Forever" as a phrase, and I love the music of this ED, but it really is just, hey, here's the Gundam a bunch of times up until right at the end when it fires a shot. I'm going to put it in A tier, and I'm going to put it right here in A tier, because I do love the song. I just don't feel like the ED, like, I didn't talk about this the first, but the ED's whole job is to ramp you back down from the episode, right? And "Winners Forever," I feel, actually does that pretty good, because the first OP is "Stand Up to the Victory." So you have "Stand Up to the Victory," and then by the end, it's "Winners Forever." It's like, yeah. I feel like a lot of this is doing that, right? But man, I want something a little bit more visually interesting. I want something that stitches episodes together and that looks cool and that feels good, I don't know. We'll see how that stands. I remember in my mind Victory's second ED being better, but we're gonna see. So I don't normally capture my reactions live while I'm watching these and breaking them down and stuff, but it's the same ED, just with a different song. And I like this song less, so we're gonna put this in B, I think. And in fact, we're gonna do this. We're gonna move these right here. And we're gonna do this. Yeah, I feel good about this right now. It's got the actual like victory, the V2, and that's nice. But otherwise, it's almost the exact same like ED. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna cheat a little bit here because War in the Pockets ED, I think, if memory serves, this ED only plays like on the last episode. But it's also really good. It's like one of the first ones that when I think about Gundam, I think about this ED. We're gonna put it S tier, but it may wind up at bottom of S because it is really just a slideshow, but it's a slideshow showing the kids wrapped in among this, hey, there's a war. And the moment at the end where they hold up the sign for Happy New Year, because it's a new year, a year without the 1 year war, right? And it really, it's hard for me. It's a new year without the conflict between Xeon and the Federation. Of course, we know that doesn't stick, but it means a lot to me, this ED. I like this ED a lot. This is going to be the one where I upset people. I know it is. I feel it in my soul. This ED is like a weird, cool idea of Rain and slowly going into her earring and then just repeating it forever while a song plays over it. And it's supposed to represent Rain's melancholy, right? I get that. I just don't think it's a very effective ED. I don't think it's as bad as like the Gundam, and that's all. But it's pretty close, right? Because this actually has like a meaning in the story, but it just doesn't. I don't know. Is it better than Fa running in front of the Earth? I don't know. That's hard to say. I'm gonna put it right here and see how all of you feel in the comments, and you're probably gonna hate me. Now, this one starts as the same thing, right? The first chunk of this ED is just Rain and Domon coming by and her attempting to kiss him, and you never actually see them get to connect. It's every time that they reach for each other. And I may just be throwing stuff around here, grasping at straws, that's the phrase. But that feels a lot like the entire like first chunk of the series where they're trying to tell each other how they feel, but they can't quite connect, right? And then it fakes you out and goes, hey, but actually, they do kiss. And here's now a shot into this picture of all the crew together having a good time, except for Allenby. Allenby should be there. But just a really fun OP, I think. I don't... Oh, man, where do we put it here? I think we put it right here, behind Victory's first OP. It's really fun. It's really cool. I think that first chunk could be shorter, and then the picture could, go a little bit longer, but... It's still a really good OP. A really good ED, that is. Haha. Man, Just Love is probably like the weirdest Gundam ED. The first half, man, the first half of it is basically just Relina, like, mean mugging the camera. And then there's so much, like, there's a lot of Relina's feet in here, and I don't know how I feel about that. And then it really feels weird. And then it's just Relina doing things that I don't know that I believe Relina Peacecraft would do. But, like... playing with animals and holding up lions and running around with a rhino. And maybe the whole point is supposed to be that this is, what she would be if she didn't have to go, be a politician or deal with everything she's dealing with. But I don't know. It just feels really weird to me. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we're going to put this in B tier. I think there's a lot. We'll put it top of B. But I don't know how I feel about it, man. This is a really fun ED. The Oath MS Team ED is just Shiro reading the book while you can see the cast do stuff behind him. I think it's the best ED we've gotten so far, honestly. As far as the series gets to this point, it's just a really fun ED where the characters are just hanging out and doing what they would do, and you get a little bit from each of them. And I just really like it. It's got a fun song. The cut to the butterfly at the end is really nice. It's just a really fun ED. Okay, so I forgot that the first Gundam X ED had human touch playing in it. But realistically, there's nothing nothing really going on in these EDs. It's just shots of scenery, which I do think like fits the melancholy vibe of Gundam X, but also like, man, I don't know where we go with human touch, because that's what this ED is. I really like the song. I've always really liked human touch. Let's go. Let's be honest. Let's go here. This one's still technically visually more impressive. All right, let's go to ED2. If it seems like there's less like introspection on these EDs as compared to the OPs, it's because Gundam X's second ED is just human touch again, but this time in Japanese. Come on now. I want stuff to talk about that ties into the series, not just shots going into an earring or people running in front of the Earth. Come on, Gundam. I know we're going to get to better stuff. I know we are. Turn A's coming. This one's pretty good. It's just, it's pretty much the same images as the others, with a good song, but it's not any different in any way, really. On to Stardust Memory. Apparently, I also forgot that Stardust Memory's first OP or ED is just magic. So, like... It's just the earth turning with the words coming towards the screen. It looks good, but man, come on now. We'll put it we'll put it here, I guess. I know we're getting some good stuff in here. Second one is the same ED but with a different song. Sure. Okay. Okay. I feel like the comment section is gonna be really mad at me for all these, but C does not mean I hate them. I don't have a trash tier on here, right? It just means that as an ED, I find them kind of boring. I'll listen to the songs for sure, but it's not just about the music. It's about how it all ties in together. And we're going to get to that in here. I know we are. Here we go now. Okay. Because a lot of people are going to probably say, like, hey, but this one's just Laurent flying through the sky. Well, no, this is Laurent flying through the sky. At first, he's in his pilot suit. He's flying towards Kjellheim. And underneath him is like this turbulent storm. And then as he passes Kjellheim, because he's not flying to her, she turns into Diana Sorrell. And Diana Sorrell is like pointing him towards the future. And then he's without his pilot suit. He's just himself now, no longer a soldier. And he flies towards the storm as the storm is now in front of him and not just below him. And I think that's cool symbolism. It's not as good as some of the other ones we're gonna get to, but I think it's some cool use of the ED to be like, hey, this is Laurent. This is our boy who just doesn't want to fight. I like it. Let's put it in A tier. Put it right here. I like it. ED2 is really weird and symbolic in a cool way, in my opinion, as you have Diana Sorrell slowly turning into the Moonlight Butterfly and then spreading her wings behind the moon over the earth. Which, again, at the point in the story where this starts to play, you're still not exactly sure how the war is going to go. And it seems like maybe this ED is trying to tell you that Diana's tempted by the Moonlight Butterfly's power to be able to pour that across the earth, or maybe she is the Moonlight Butterfly. I like that it leaves you with questions, even if visually it's very cool. Doesn't give us a lot to talk about, but I do think it's very cool. We're actually going to put it right here. We'll put it right here. It's still very good, though. And we're going to go ahead and move Amuro up to S tier here, just because, again, that sticks with you, right? Amuro in the dark, with it saying, don't turn around, Amuro. Don't give up, Amuro. You have to keep going, Amuro. Can't be haunted by the things of the past, Amuro. I think that's probably going to keep moving up, but it's still very, very good. On to Turn A3. Turn A3 is weird and interesting because it comes up like after the second ED has played in the final episode of Turn A, and it's just the second ED, because the music for the second ED plays without the visuals. It's just the same visuals, but with a much more upbeat song, which paints it in a really different light as just like, hey, the Moonlight Butterfly's here to save us all. And I don't think that does as well as the others, honestly. I think I'm going to put that in B tier, honestly. Because I just think it kind of detracts away from the vibe that ED had before. But moving on to Seed. The first Seed ED is the one that I think a lot of people remember, but it's not my favorite of the Seed EDs by far. I think it's pretty good, right? The big panning shot of all of the Gundams destroyed and all the people on the ground. It's all right. And I think the music it's pretty good, but I don't think it's quite as interesting as some of the other ones. But it is the one that like you always hear people talk about, right? Da, 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 da. It's solid. I think that is an A tier opening or ED, and probably should go like right here. But man, this list is about to get really weird as we get into the rest of these. Now, before I review Seed ED2, I need to talk about how there's actually two EDs for the second one. And it's because, as far as I could tell in my research today, like I said, I spent like 4 hours on this. ED2 River had the license agreement come up and was not renewed, and instead was replaced with Distance. So we're going to review Distance today, but I will talk about River just a little bit because visually they're the same. So let's talk about Distance and River. River, I think, is the better song for the ED, the way that it fits together. It's clear that was the original intention, but Distance still works really well, and the ED itself is really solid. We can see a lot of battle damage on the units as they scroll up, because again, Gundam loves to do that. but most of the battle damage is what actually happens to the units over the course of the show, which is really cool. A lot of it has already happened by the time we get to the CD, so it's not like it's spoiling anything, but I just think that's a really nice touch. And we don't just have the main units, but we also have people like Miguel, or we have Andrew Waltfeld's Baku, his Baku Hound, and it just, there's some really cool stuff that gets done in this ED that I think has to take it up to. I wanted to use this image for it, but it's the same visuals as the next one, and we'll get to that. That takes it up, I think, to top of A tier. I think this is a very, very solid ED. Maybe behind Turn A1, though. I think we're going to put it behind Turn A1. But let's move on to the final Gundam Seed ED before we get into the Gundam Seed Destiny ED. If this had new visuals, Find the Way would be top of Triple S tier right now. There'd be some other stuff that I think would unseat it later, but Find the Way is such a beautiful song that fits so well with the story of Gundam Seed, and they just reuse the visuals. So I'm going to put it above the previous one, and I think I'm going to go ahead and put it above Turn A's, but I'm not going to let it break up all the way up in there because it is just the same visuals, unfortunately, which I wish it wasn't, but it is. But it's still a very, very good ED. We're going to put it at bottom of S tier, but we're not going to let it get any higher because it is still just the same visual. Reason is pretty good. Reason is the first Seed Destiny ED. It is still that same big pan of, hey, here's all the characters and all their suits as we go from left to right, and they're all damaged. With a pretty cool song. I don't think it's quite as strong as Seed, Original Seed's first ED, but we're going to go ahead and put it behind Victory. No, we're going to put it behind that. Victory is just the visuals of that, but it's still, I like Victory's song way more. But we're gonna stick it right there. I think it's a pretty solid. Life Goes On is a cool ED, man. The fact that the characters aren't just floating up towards the top together like in older EDs, but are instead crossing each other, which allows them to put characters that are against each other off against each other, literally, or characters that have fallen out or anything like that in a really cool way. It allows you to have great details like Neo Roanoke being upside down and looking towards Maru Ramius to prove that, of course, he's all mixed up right now. He's not on the right side. And I love the way that it ends with Kira and Lacus coming together, holding out their hands. I may not like Kira in Destiny at all, but I do think that's a really nice touch as the ED slowly comes to a close right there. So we're going to have to put it in S tier. And I think we're going to put it right here in S tier. Right here. That'll do. That's a good spot. Eventually, some of these are going to move up because S tier is looking a little more full than I want it to be with how much more we still have to go. But, we'll see how we get in the next one. I want to go to a place that's such a weird, cool opening because the first half is absolutely stellar and the back half is kind of just people looking at the camera. The first half is like, not just, it's all the cast, right? Not just Destiny's cast, but Seed's cast is back, including those that died in Seed, and they're all together on this beach, happy together. And the song is I Want to Go to a Place. So obviously it's talking about how they want to go to a place where they can all be happy together. They wouldn't have to fight. There wouldn't have to be wars. Nobody would have to die. And it's just great to see little moments like, I don't want to just throw out spoilers here, but characters hugging up characters that died in Seed, that those characters lived on to Destiny and didn't have them anymore, but it shows that they're still connected to them, And then the back half is just them looking forward in front of their Gundams. And I don't know, man. I just feel like there could have been something more there. Yeah, we're going to put this at top of A, I think. It is a really cool ED for the first half. I love it for the first half. So top of A is where it's going to go. This is a pretty solid ED. There's a lot of like little interconnections in it where you have like Stella leaping towards Mu. You have Durandal holding Talia's hand. Little moments like Izak is running forward, but Diarca is looking back over his shoulder towards him. It's really nice. The song's really good. It still is just more of that big pan, and I don't want to just keep rewarding that big pan, but it's a solid ED. I like it. It's pretty good. We're gonna put it right there at A. Now we move on to Double O. What I like so much about Wana is that this ED, it's got a lot of cool stuff going on in it, right? But it really emphasizes how these four are a team, right? They're all together, but they're also not a team yet. They are all individually their own people. And this highlights it so well as you have each of them in different parts of the world doing their own thing, right? You have Lock On next to Protest, and you have Setsuna eating an apple, Tieria reaching out towards the screen, and Alleluia with the magazine, the London Times, sorry. I guess they're probably all in London, but in different parts of the city. They're not together. But then it cuts to the squares slowly filling in with each one, and then cuts to all of them together in a row. And it's just really stylish to show that, hey, yeah, they're on the same team, but they're not a team. They're all working individually, and they have to grow and become a team later on. And we're going to see that in this next DD, which is one of my favorites. But let's put Wanna in. I just want to put more in A tier. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put Wanna right here at top of A. And we're going to go ahead and move these 3 down. I think we're going to do that. Wanna is a very, very solid ED. All right, let's talk about 00 Season 1, Ending 2, because this is one of the best ending themes in all of Gundam, in my opinion. So, the 4 are together, they're a team, they're working together, Lock-On's cutting Setsuna's hair. It's really, it's really heartwarming just seeing all 4 of these characters together and having a good time while Thierry and Alleluia cook, right? But then you cut to Setsuna looking down at the water, and the water's replaced with red as blood, because each of these 4 can't get past what they're dealing with, and we cut to each one of them struggling to overcome what they're dealing with. Then we cut to Louise and Marina Ismail as the GN particles come up to the sky, and Setsuna throws off the sheet, and then all 4 of them look up to the sky together, and you go, this is my team! These are my boys! But it's all intercut by that moment of Alleluia with his hand against the mirror, the broken mirror, and because obviously the mirror, right, for Alleluia. And then Lock-On on the ground next to the ruined building, and Tieria just standing at that great height, it seems, where that building has broken the top bars and just laid against the bars. Can any of them be free from the ghosts of their past? But they still choose to fight, and they still choose to stand up together. And I think this is our first Triple S tier. I adore this ED. The song is good. The visuals are great. There's so much going on. It is absolutely incredible. Adore this ED. Season 2 ED1 doesn't work for me for a lot of the same reasons I just talked about with Season 1 ED2. Specifically, there's so many cuts to the stuff they're dealing with, which is great, but it doesn't really feel personal except for a couple of really nice shots. One of the big ones being Lyle standing in front of the curtain with the hands coming out to cover the face. That was really good. But other than that, it's them each walking. There's a really good one, I guess, with Setsuna 2, where the ground behind him is all the memories of the people he's lost as he moves forward. But then all that fades, as if to say he's not held back by the ghost of his past anymore, when that's not really what happens in 00. But then they all start walking. They're all walking towards the center of the screen. But then the cut to where all 4 of them are on screen is all 4 of them walking together this way. And it just feels like there should have been a moment where they come together and then all turn to walk together as the new team comes together, And it just didn't have that. And then they just look up to the sky where it's open as the sun shines through. I don't know. It doesn't feel quite as powerful as the previous ED. There's some good cuts in here, but I just wish that it had been done a little bit differently. I think we're going to put this one at top of B tier. It's okay. Okay, I trust you. I feel like there are people that have never seen Gundam and already know where this song is going, which is this ED has to go top of the list. So, I Trust You pays off on everything that the last ED had that wasn't able to be paid off there, which is not that ED's fault, but it still doesn't feel great, especially since a lot of those were just still frames, but here it's actually animated. Here they're actually moving. You get, first off, the incredible shots. I'm going to get emotional talking about this one. I love this ED. The emotional shots of each of the Gundams, where they have come to rest. They have the Arios broken down, and you have the ruined remnants of the Cheridim, and then you get the 00 riser up on the cliff face, and then you have, of course, what is it called? It's the upgrade of the Virtue. I just completely lost it. The Cerevi, sorry. You have it with all the ice particles on it that are frozen that make it look like rain or tears, depending on how you want to look at it. And it's absolutely beautiful. That could be an incredible wallpaper just right there. But then you hard cut to Sanji grabbing Louise and finally getting through to her, to Alleluia and Marie just reaching together even while they're surrounded by the enemies and getting past everything they were going through. You have Tieria spinning around and holding the gun at the innovators. And then, of course, the big one, which is hands reach out and grab Lock On and pull him into the curtain, and you realize it's Anu while it says waiting for your love. And all of this comes together when little baby Setsuna standing there with the gun again, because that's who he's always been deep at heart, right? Able to smile, standing in front of the Double O. And it just, with all the flowers everywhere, and you know how Double O ends, so it all just comes together to make one of the best EDs in all of Gundam in my mind. This is a pretty solid ED. The first of it is just kind of technical data, but then it slowly transitions into cuts of the mobile suits, and then transitions into scenes of actual like combat as the different mobile suits are doing different things. Some really rough scenes from the show. Not rough as in badly animated or anything, but rough as in rough story moments that are shown off here, especially with like Lonnie. But it all comes together to then lead to the Vist family like image, the banner, which I think is pretty cool. I don't think it's quite as strong as some of the other ones, especially because we don't really get any human interaction here other than Lonnie. But I think it's pretty good. It's a really fun OP or ED in a lot of ways. I keep saying OP because that's all we normally do. And I really like the art. It all looks really good. But I just don't think it's quite as strong as some of these other ones here. I think we're going to put it like here. Bottom of A tier, I think. It's fun. The art looks so good. And the song is great. But it just doesn't really have a lot of like human interaction in it. Man, this one's kind of the same way, in that it's just a lot of action. But the action all looks really good, and you get cuts of older series too from Universal Century. I think we're gonna retroactively bring this one up to here, and we're gonna put this one just above it because I do think it is better, and it's really cool, and it looks great, and the audio is great, but it's not really quite. It doesn't tell a story like any of the rest of these do, you know. So we're gonna leave it there, but it's very, very good. I love the song. Age's first ED really slams home how Flit is focused on his desire to kill the UA, as they're called right then. His back is to everybody else when it does the big pan. He is not paying attention to anybody else in his life. All he's focused on is fighting and developing the Gundam and fighting. And we see this when the visor comes down on his helmet, and all you can see is Yurien inside. He is 100% focused. I think the song's really good. I think there's not a lot visually going on other than that visual storytelling of how focused he is. But I think this is a really good OP, and I think we're going to put it right here in A tier or so. Maybe right that second half is just looking at Gundams. I think we're going to leave it right here. The second ED is fairly good. I think that the run animation looks kind of janky, but otherwise, like Asumu going through his like the good times, as it were, when his dad was around, when he was with Zehart and everything was going good. I think all that's great. I just think the running is a little strange. I don't think that's done as well as it probably could have been. Maybe another pass. But either way, this is a good OP. I think we're gonna put it about here or so. Age ED3 is okay. I think that, like, man, there's a lot of it is just characters standing around, not really doing anything. Whereas at least with the stills with Seed and Destiny, you could feel the emotion from what they were doing in those moments, right? But there is a really cool moment where you have like Kyo's core fighter flying, and then it's in the palm of Flit's hand. It's like little boy Flit again. Or that's Kyo, but it sure looks like little boy Flit, like directing him from the back, and that looks really cool. But otherwise, I think this one's just fine. I think we're gonna put it at the top of B tier. It does the job. It just doesn't really. It doesn't really like excite me in any way or tell me much about the characters in any way. It's there. Now you probably expect me to be harsh with Age ED4. However, I actually think this is a pretty good OP or a pretty good ED. I keep saying OP. Sorry, we normally cover OPs on the channel. I think that the cuts to the love interests and them waiting for the people they love to come back are really cool, especially as they age up through each generation. But then the youngest one running back instead of aging, because hope has arrived this time. They won the fight. They beat the Vegans. Uh, cut to the families in town with their babies and everybody's happy. And a hard cut to the ruined mobile suits of, hey, this is what it costs to sustain this happiness. I think that is great. And then it pans out to show the world, which is now safe because of the price that's been paid. I think that's really cool. And if you didn't know who lives and who dies at the end of age, it would look like everybody ate it to be able to save the earth. Which just, I think that's a really cool ED. I think we're going to do this. Because A is getting pretty full. I think we're going to do this. And I think we are going to go ahead and bring this up to Triple S. I think that's a really good ED. We're going to do this right here. I think this is pretty good. Let's move on to Build Fighters. I really like the first Build Fighters ED. I think that the way it starts with Sei reaching for the world, and then it's revealed to be the trophy, but then ends with Sei reaching for the world, and then Reiji's hand comes in so that they can grasp it together. I love that. I love them in the armor of their Gundams, especially when Tatsuya Yuki is doing the turn A pose. Just really, really great. We do get the Shonen run for most of the ED, which is just Sei running past the rest of the cast. But I think this is a really, really solid ED. This is going to S tier. I think we're going to put it... I think it's above Wanna. I think we're going to put it right here. That's a really good ED. That's a really good ED. All right, let's talk about Hanpan Spirit, because I love this song. First off, I actually knew about the song before I watched Build Fighters, because I'm a big fan of Hayadane. But the song is great, but it's how the song works in the context of Build Fighters and what happens in this ED that I think makes this ED so great. Because you have, the song is all about your childhood, the never-ending childhood, that you don't have to grow up even as you grow up, right? That childish spirit that you have can still be a childish spirit even as you grow up into an adult. You don't have to give up the things of a child all the time, right? And you have, in the middle of all this, Sei and Reiji and like just this really fun song as things are going on, as you have Rinko and some of the other characters singing the lyrics as they come up. You have that really cool walk when they're walking across the stars, and the stars keep pulling back to reveal a character and keep pulling back to reveal a character. And then you have that moment where they talk about, as an adult, you can still have a childish heart. I'm sorry, my allergies are really killing me today. And it's all the older characters, and they turn and smile to the camera, and it just... The biggest one for me, though, is the moment where it seems like Reiji is saying, hey, we should upgrade the Star Build Strike. And so then it has, like, a Hygog's arm and gun tank treads. And it's just a really, really fun ED. Especially at a time of the show when things are getting a little rough, you know? But, yeah, this is a triple tier ED in my mind. That's going to go right here, I think. It is a really good ED. Let's talk about G-Reko's ED. Because Gino Reconquista is, like... such a great song. It's so catchy, but there's also a lot of like good symbolism in this ED. One of the big ones that always stood out to me is Bellry and the two people whose lives he was responsible for on both sides of the war walking together as he's carrying their will forward. It's the conga line of everybody doing the kick, right? As all of them are happy and all of them are together and none of them are fighting. And it's just a really nice moment, right? Because when the dance is over, you're going back to the war. There is a lot to love about G-Reco, and I think oftentimes it gets, like, bashed. And I'm one of them that'll give it a hard time for how nonsensical it is at times. But I think that the ED is a great example of the show itself, and the symbolism in it is very good. So we're going to put Reconquista in G at, I think we're going to put it about here, right after Wanna in S tier. That is a really, really fun ED. All right, let's talk about Go Fight, right? Because it's catchy. Go fight, let you go. It's really catchy, right? But I'm going to give this one bonus points because it's got the GM cardigan in it, which I adore. However, the vast majority of this ED is just the slow pan down of the characters standing still with their Gundam beside them. And that's okay. It's not terrible. But they gotta make sure they show you Fumina in the skin tight suit, right? Man, I don't know. Go Fights, it's really catchy. I think we're gonna put it at bottom of A tier right now. I did like the stars coming back from Build Fighters ED2. I think that was a nice touch. But let's go into Build Fighters Try 2. Build Fighters E2, I think, is better, even if the first chunk of it is just Fumina running by herself, because it's paid off by the back chunk of it, which is Fumina running with everyone else. First off, with Seiji, and I completely forgot Lightning Gun the boy's name, Yuma, and then everyone else joins in as well, which is really nice. It's really cool. And then it cuts to like Sentai bear guys like dancing, which is fine, but again, it feels like it would come from a Sentai series. But I think we're gonna put this right underneath, right above the two unicorn openings. I think that's where it's gonna go, because it does have that nice moment where everybody's running together. On to the origin. So, yes, this first ED is a lot of still frames of young Char and young Sayla, and then the zombies, and then what seems to be, just characters, right? But it also has a remixed version of Maguri Eye, which is a really great song, and it feels really good. I'm not gonna give it like triple S tier, S tier, or anything, but I think we will put it somewhere pretty solid into A. And I think that's gonna make A tier too big, so we may have to move some things down. But we're gonna put it here, I think. And so what we're gonna do now is probably gonna be a little blasphemous. We're gonna put these here. We're gonna move these here down. And then we're gonna move these down. Make that the new top of A, or bottom of A. All right, on to more Origin. All right, so Origin ED2 is Zeta Gundam's first ED, but with Lala Soon running around doing cool stuff. So I mean, it's pretty, it's nice. I like it. I actually like it more than Maguri Eye. It's fun. It doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of the show, but I feel like I'm a little biased because I like Lala Soon a lot. So we're just gonna leave that one there. We're gonna move on to Origin ED3. I really love the song in this one. I also think it's really cool getting a look into the factories as they're building the mobile suits. Again, doesn't really have a lot of stuff going on character wise, but was really cool and I liked it. So we're gonna put it. I guess I'm not sure. I guess we'll put it after Maguri Eye. But it was really solid. I liked it. This final ED, I think, is probably my favorite one for Gundam the Origin because it is the Zaku's attacking Earth, but then it cuts to Garma and Giran and a couple other characters as their reaction as they just walk through the Federation's defenses. And I think it just really sets up a lot of, hey, and I said before that Red Ray didn't have much going on with characters. It does, though, in hindsight, because that's the building of the Zaku's or the Gundam, right? Haha. As we lead into this. And I think that it's all building up to the 1 Year War, as we know. And I said Zaku's, but you've seen Origin, but I think this is really good. We're gonna put it right here. I think it's really solid. Just the, hey, this is what it's like, I don't think any of these were quite as great as I remembered them being, but it could be just in my mind, like the Origins music is so good because how good the OPs are. So let's get into IBO. I'm almost done with this video. Just real quick, I've been working on this for 5 hours already, and I haven't even started the editing process yet. If you are watching this, please go ahead and like the video. I normally don't ask, but I would really appreciate it. It's been a really long day, and this is all I've done all day. I haven't eaten yet. I'm going to do that once I finish this. But let's move on to IBO. Orphans no Namida. I love this song. I don't love this ED, and I'm going to get some hate for that, but I think that there's some cool stuff in this ED, right? That first shot is really cool. Then Mikazuki taking his helmet off and then floating out into space, because, deep down, he is still completely fragile. He's completely reliant on Orga, and when he doesn't have Orga, he's alone, right? He overcomes that over the course of the series. But it also, in my mind, symbolizes, him inside the Alaya Shnana system, the AV system, where he's completely hooked up to the Gundam and that becomes his body. But then it's just kind of like, hey, here's a nice pan over of all the characters. They're all hanging out on the Gundam. Song's really good though, right? And that's the way it feels to me. I like it a lot. I want to put it in A or S for the song alone. If it was just alone, triple S tier. But I don't think visually it's as good as some of these other ones. We're gonna put it in about right here, I guess. Yeah, that feels about right. All right, on to the next IBOED. This one's pretty good. I think that like the chibi versions of them on the steps, it's really cute. And then the pans of the different things the crew members are doing, and you cut to Mikazuki, who is then looking at everything going on, and then Orga steps up, and they go together. I think it's pretty good. It's still missing like any form of the villains in any way, but it's clear that these EDs are focused around the main characters and Tekkadan itself. So we're gonna give this one. I think it's better than the previous one, even though, like the songs. Orphan's One I mean is a great song. I think we're gonna put it right here or so, but I still don't think it quite gets up to some of these. But we got one coming up that might just be a little different. 83 is pretty solid. I think that the dynamic of, hey, Orga and Mikazuki and Atra all have to like starve on the streets and live in the rain, but at least they have to get like each other. They're together. Versus Kudelia doesn't have to deal with any of that, and she's got an umbrella to block out the rain, but she's all alone. I think that's a nice touch. I think that there's more that needs to be said there, maybe a little bit more that needs to be shown, but I did like this one a lot. I think it's very good. I think we're going to put this one in A as well, though I don't think we're going to put it quite as high. I think we're going to put it about right here. Probably about here. I mean, the running is very good. I think we're going to do that. But it's very good. It just, I think these two were better. On to the fourth. Now, some of you are going to get really mad at me for this, but I think this is the second best ED we've got to so far. And let me explain why. Because you're going to say, well, so much of it is just hanging on the Gundam. Well, Mikazuki goes to fall, and Orga catches him, which is what he's always done, right? And then it hard cuts to the full picture of Tekkadan, like everybody there in front of the ruined Barbados Lupus Rex. And you hang on that for a long time as the beautiful song Frisia by Uru plays. Love that song. And then it cuts to this too is just a picture. Along with the pictures of all the other ones that are gone. Because this was it. And then in the background you can see a bunch of people in the fields on Mars, happy, together. Everything's good on Mars now, but look what it cost. And I think that dynamic, that reveal is what makes it so good. It's that moment of, oh, this is just a picture. This is just a memory. Right next to Biscuit's hat. It gets me every time. It's such a good reveal. Love this ED. It's a fun ED. I should say again, just like in the OP video, I have not yet seen Divers or Re-Rise. I've seen the first episode of Divers, and that's it. But this is a pretty fun ED. The cut to the characters building together and then working together, and the girl that's all by herself that then is later on with the group. It's all really good. These are good OPs or EDs, that is. I think this is probably better than these two, but I still think the Lala one stands out a little bit more above it. On Build Divers 2. All right, look, that ED made me want to watch Build Divers. I want to make that very clear. This ED makes me want to watch Build Divers. That's how good this ED is. So, again, I'm assuming that girl's a robot or an AI, but she's looking at all of her memories, it seems like. Meanwhile, the rest of the team is doing a surprise thing where they all dress their Gundams up as bear guys with like accessories and everything to be able to throw a surprise party for her while like flying her around in game. And look, I've said before that I feel like an ED needs to ramp down the episode, right? That's the kind of ED that I'm not ever going to get tired of watching, right? That ED tells a whole continuous story in that one ED. Really great. There's a fly in here now and it's really bothering me. Yeah, that is a great ED. Is it better than Wanna? I think so. I think you gotta go up here. I think we do this. I think we might do this too. And then we put that at top of S tier. I think that's what we do. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Moving on. Okay, so this ED is weird. It seems to be a character, and again, I haven't seen Re-Rise, but it seems to be a character like following the memories of her and what looked like the boy from Divers. My guess is something happened to him in between. I don't know. I'm not trying to spoil or anything here. It's just this ED is her following the memories, and there's some really cool moments in there. And I could get that without having seen the show. Obviously, that's what's happening, and I think that's a cool. That I like it when an ED tells me a story when I don't even know the story, right? And the moment where the Strike Gundam lights up, that's pretty dang cool. This is a good ED. I'm not gonna put it like as high as some of the others, but this is a really good ED. We'll put it about right here, I think. It's probably better than these two. We'll put it right here. That's a good ED. All right, so this last one is interesting because it plays, it's almost an insert song. It is the ED, but it plays over a conversation. And I have no idea what's going on in it because it's episode 20 of the show. So, man, I don't know where I'm going to put it. The song was nice. The conversation was cool. I guess we're going to put it at bottom of B. No, that's a weird one. I wish I'd known about that one going in. I would not have put it on the list. All right, let's go into Witch from Mercury. Confession time. I have not seen Witch from Mercury yet. I'm gonna watch it as soon as I get done rendering this video, or editing this video while it's rendering, before my stream, which is in 2.5 hours, building Gundam Unicorn. But I can tell you, even without having seen the show, there's a great little story here. As the main character, I believe Soletta is her name, stands in for the sun, basically, as the two characters are separated, but then is able to reach her in the end. And it's a really nice OP. It looks great. It sounds great. We're going to put it at bottom of S tier right now. It could wind up, or ED, it could wind up being even better as the show goes on. We'll see. But we're going to put it at bottom of S tier for now. Let's look over this list real quick, because, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm ready to be done with this and get into, I've got Gundam to watch. I got to get ready for the stream. I've been working on this since 11 a.m. and it's 4:30 now. I don't see triple S tier changing at all. I don't think it'll change. I think we could probably bring Witch from Mercury up a little bit to about here, underneath Hana, and I think we're going to bring Hana up. Might do this. I think this is pretty good, but I don't think we're breaking these. This is pretty solid A tier. Do we want to bring anything up in A tier? We kind of just left. This is really high for where we left it. I think we're going to do this. And then B tier is pretty good. C tier, we could probably do this. I think that's fine. We'll do this. And then finally into D tier. I think this is pretty good. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm sure you're not going to be happy with me about some of these placements, but let me know where you would put stuff. And until next time, I've been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. The Gundam has to offer.